Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Triforce Podcast. Very special episode today.
Very special. Historic.
As one of our members is going to be sounding a little bit different today because of flooding, meaning that the dad garage is out of action, and we've had to bring in their son. bring in their replacement. From the very excellent 0 Degrees podcast and Yogscast, of course, and my wonderful friend Harry. Well, welcome, Harry, to the show.
Hello, how are we doing?
All right, we're doing all right. It's unsettling.
This is weird to have you guest.
I feel like I'm on my first day in the office. I'm wearing my dad's suit. I'm nervous. Everyone's talking at the coffee machine. I don't drink coffee yet because I'm 12.
Right.
It's intimidating,
Yeah. You don't know anyone, and you've seen these people from afar.
Yeah,
you've admired them.
I've admired them a lot. I've got pictures of them on my wall of them, my posters.
You know what it reminds me of? Harry, do you remember your sister was in doing work experience? I think it was earlier this year.
Yeah.
And because she's so tall, I was like, "You coming to the pub?" And everyone was like, "She's like 15, period." I was like, "Oh." It's like that. Just the new kid in the office.
It is literally just like that. No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry Sips isn't here. Dude, what's actually happened? Has Jersey been swept into the sea?
Storm Ciaran has happened. Struck a mighty blow.
Back in the day, when I was only like 3 or 4, there was a big storm called the Great Wind.
1987
of 87.
I was at school. That was my first year of secondary school, and that was my first week when that happened. So I have very good recollection of it.
Yes,
it was insane.
It was a big wind that hit the south of England, and one of our trees in our garden blew over and crushed next door's greenhouse.
Oh my god!
That's what I remember from
I think it's in my lifetime the worst sort of national storm that I can remember. There might have been really bad ones that maybe affected very small regions. I mean, there have been some terrible storms that led to really bad floods, but in terms of just raw wind power, this one was the big one. And when it hit the night before, very famously, the BBC weatherman was like, "I've had a message from a Mrs. Stevenson in Kettering, and she says, is there a storm coming?" No, there is no storm coming. And of course there was, and it was fucking devastating. So many trees got knocked down.
Did he get fired? Did he continue his job? Because that's a pretty big boo-boo, right?
No, I think it was it John Ketley or was it Michael Fish?
It was Michael Fish.
Or was it? It was Michael Fish.
The original. 15 million trees were blown down.
15 million trees. That's such a great stat. Wow.
I know.
Someone had to count all them, Harry. Someone had to go around and count all the trees.
How many roof tiles? Do we have 32 million roof tiles displaced?
So it did £6 billion worth of damage.
Wow, in 97 as well. That's a lot of money.
No, that's adjusted. That's adjusted.
Okay.
So 2 billion in the time, 6 billion adjusted.
Wow.
But yeah, absolutely mad. But here's the hurricane controversy. A few hours before it broke, he said during the weather, early on today, apparently a woman rang the BBC and said she heard there was a hurricane on the way. Well, if you're watching, don't worry, there isn't. And it was the worst storm to hit Southeast England in 300 years.
It wasn't technically a hurricane, though. I mean, even I've referred to it as the Great Wind. Right? This is not really like, we don't have proper scary American style, hurricanes and actual things that like Boba has every week.
Yeah.
I think each hurricane that hits Florida does more damage than this ever did.
Right.
But equally,
there's like 5 of them a month.
Our infrastructure and our buildings aren't designed. Our poor trees aren't designed for this. Like,
they've got palm trees. They're like made of rubber. They just bend over.
They love it. They're happy in the wind. For us, it's like this shocking experience.
Sip said he had 4 feet of water outside his door at one point.
Oh my god!
Because it's sort of, but then I guess it all drained away and just. But the thing is, apparently this has happened to him before, so all of his stuff is up on tables anyway.
He lives in Twickenham. Michael Fish lives in Twickenham. I'm gonna keep my fucking eyes peeled for him. Sorry, carry on.
I think Michael Fish is dead, isn't he?
No.
But he died. Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the guy. I'm thinking of Murray Walker.
Murray Walker with the Grand Prix announcer.
Yeah, they've all got similar vibes, haven't they?
Have they?
Old man with a moustache. Used to be on the BBC. Semi-famous just because we grew up in the 90s.
Like John Ketley. Yeah.
who the fuck is John Ketley? See, this is what I mean. Even like your references even go over my head.
He's an old
Who
weatherman.
the fuck is John Ketley?
Do you
He
have a
looks
list?
exactly
period?
like I thought he would look.
Do you have a list
Moustache,
of your
must
favourite
mullet.
weathermen? Like, oh
No,
my
but
god.
so there was a song in the 80s. John Ketley is a weatherman, a weatherman, a weatherman. John Ketley is a weatherman, and so is Michael Fish. And it went on like that. It was like a novelty song.
A novelty song.
Yeah. That used to be a big thing, novelty songs.
They did.
And you don't
There were a
get them.
bunch of them.
Yeah, you don't get them
Yeah.
as much.
Because I was thinking of one recently when we did the Dad's Army one. Because Clive Dunn, who was the hopeless old doddering old
Yeah,
man on Dad's Army, but actually he was quite a young man.
Mm.
Did like I think he even did like a Christmas #1.
Probably.
It was like the St. Winifred's School Choir. There's no one quite like
Grandad.
Grandpa,
Yeah, there's no one
Grandad.
quite like Grandad. Yeah, that was a big one.
Oh my god! And so they used to do them all the time. I guess the world was a smaller place back then, and so everyone heard of everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like you couldn't get away from it all. It was the only thing that was on telly or on the radio, and everyone listened to the same couple of radio stations or watched the same couple of television shows. I guess even in the UK, we didn't have cable TV like the Americans did.
Mhm.
To the extent that they did.
Mm.
I occasionally I go to my nana's and she did have cable TV, and then there'd be hundreds of channels, and I'd be like, oh my god, I'm a bit overwhelmed. But most people, and even today, look how popular Love Island or Big Brother or
Yeah.
like these cultural trends, they do seem to kind of somehow penetrate through, and everyone knows.
There's always going to be a few shows.
I think people enjoy it though. It's nice watching something else that other people have watched, sharing in that cultural experience. I think it's enriching, right? Like it's kind of it's nice to find your own niches on the internet, but equally it's kind of boring not being able to share that with anybody. It's quite funny to be able to watch this big cultural moment and point and laugh at it.
I mean, I certainly I can't discuss Dota memes with Mrs. F, but if we watch a TV show together, we can talk about it. So yeah, niche interests are great and everything, but do you guys reckon, just I was thinking about this, that the whole novelty records thing has been replaced by people on YouTube or TikTok making a funny song,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just popular in that regard. Whereas previously you had to write something like "Shut Up, You Face," you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, which was a very big song. What's the matter, you? Gotta no respect. It's a nicer day. Have some pizza. Shut up, your face. As it goes.
Yeah.
That's how good. Yeah.
It's the classic.
It's the Italian-American, slightly racist chants that
Joe
probably wouldn't
Dolce.
fly these days.
I think
Yeah,
he was,
it was-
I think he was English. Oh, he's American Australian. He's a prick, by the way. I saw an interview with him. He does not see it as a novelty song that he got lucky with. He's like, people misunderstood my genius. Like,
right,
yeah,
sure.
he's a real bellend. It's quite funny.
Sure. Yeah, he doesn't think of his thing as a comedy song.
No.
His one-hit wonder. That's pretty. I sort of semi-expected it. You're right. Like things like SNL. I saw the
That sketch,
the
right?
Barbie parody they did. The
Oh.
one with it's just Pete with Pete Davidson instead of Ken.
Yeah, I saw
Right.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't really get Pete Davidson. Maybe it's a young person thing. Harry, maybe you can explain it to me. He's not funny.
I don't find him funny either.
No.
I don't. He's weird. I feel like
He's weird.
He falls into me in like that weird 2010 internet humor where random was funny. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like that. He feels very much that kind of humor to me, and I never really got that humor.
I
So-
mean, he's. I also don't understand how. I mean, he doesn't strike me as a particularly good-looking chap. He must be extremely charming because he's had a lot of really hot girlfriends.
he has dated basically
Everyone.
the
Hottest
best
women
of the
in the
best.
world.
He is.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's proof that little Jimmy can do it. He is an inspiration to every sad, tucked-looking man in the world. It's brilliant. In that respect, I love him.
He just looks like a really goofy guy.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't fully
some
understand
people would say, like, well, he's really funny, and that obviously helps him.
But I
And
don't think he's
also-
very funny.
No, he's not funny. Like, if you look at him on SNL, he's always Pete Davidson. He
Yeah.
never plays
this
a character.
is it. That's the part of the song mocks this really. You
Right.
know, I think he's always been an SNL darling though a little bit, and surrounded. He's lived in that world of high-end LA parties, drugs. I don't know, like surrounded by people who are in that oeuvre. You know,
Yeah.
and also I think when you date, all you have to do is date one real famous hot woman, and then other famous hot women will be like, oh, he dated that.
And that gives you like
famous
the
hot woman.
pass. You, so you
Yeah,
unlock
you've got
that
like
tier.
There must be something. She dated him, so
it's
there must be
pre-selection.
something to him.
It's called pre-selection. Apparently, I'm sure we'll get some emails about this, but apparently, it's a theory that a lot of women, if they see a man in a relationship, will think, oh, he must be not bad because some other woman picked him. You know what I mean? Whereas I don't think blokes think like that at all.
Not quite.
So we don't think, oh, that girl's going out with that lad. Well, she must be all right then.
He's so attractive. That guy's ripplingly attractive. Wow. I don't know.
Not really the same.
But yeah, novelty songs. They were this thing. There was like a Mr. Blobby one. There was all sorts, but now I guess it's more built into things like Bo Burnham or like things like this, right? Like
Tim Minchin is another guy
Auntie
that does all
Donna.
of those, doesn't he? So,
Love Auntie Donna so much.
Right, so oh shit, I've forgotten. In the time it took me to say what I was going to think,
this is a standard. This is a standard.
This is a Triforce bit. Am I experiencing a bit right now?
No, I just forgot.
Tick it off the bingo card. We carried on talking about something for 60 seconds too long, and Period's forgotten his thread.
Yeah, that's standard.
It happens to the best.
Let me tell you about my flight. So I got back from Seattle on Tuesday.
Yeah, we're sort of in a holding pattern here because Sips isn't here, and we don't want to talk too much about what we've been doing while we've all been away.
I mean, it's all right because
fuck it, let's do it anyway. Fuck it.
Sips doesn't play Dota anyway.
Sips can listen back to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do.
Hi,
that.
Sips.
Can we also get like occasional like what we think Sips would have said about novelty songs? What
Absolutely.
do you think?
I think he would talk about new metal at this point, or something that Fred Durst did. I think that's what he would say. Not that Sips is particularly into Limp Bizkit, but I think when we start thinking about music in the 80s and 90s, he will bring up Limp Bizkit or
oh god, yeah, he's.
Like that.
But I don't know if any of like the real popular bands actually did novelty songs. I don't know if any like 80s
Slade
like,
did.
Rappers did.
Slade were big, and they did It's Christmas.
Well, this is the thing. This is talking about.
Yeah, they were huge.
Were they?
So they have been coasting off the Christmas song for 25 years.
Yeah, get it together, Noddy Holder. What the fuck?
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing. I can't remember when I read this, but if you do something for Christmas, right, it can sometimes make you immortal. In the case of like
Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Did you
like
see her weird trailer? She that was weird. She like put out a tweet with this video of her in ice, and she was being defrosted like she was getting ready for Christmas.
Yeah.
It felt like, I don't know, some
horrible microwave,
some horrible dystopian world where Mariah Carey's just cryogenically frozen and we bring her back.
It's time to microwave Mariah Carey.
Try to defrost Mariah. Like, no,
here we go.
No.
3083 and we're still doing it. I think that the weird thing is that's basically her saying, my career is over and this song that I did 20 odd years ago is the only reminder you have that I exist. So,
do you think back like 2,000 years ago when they had like, a folk song that they'd play around festival season and Dave had written it, and every year Dave would be like, I'm going to play the song, guys. They had the same kind of fuck off Dave experience that we have with Mariah. Is this like
absolutely?
Do you think this is not a new
I'm sure
fad?
I'm sure that's happening at like hippie sort of places all over the world where they have like their yearly festival, and this one couple of guys have been running it for 35 years, and it's tradition for him to get his guitar out and sing it around the campfire. Yeah, absolutely. Like, look, I'm sure it happens on a small microcosm as it does on the mega.
And also, there would have been a moment where the name Dave represented new tech. Like that was
right,
like
yes.
No one had met someone called what's his name? Dave? What an exotic and unusual name, Dave. Wow. They would have been very excited.
Real forward thinker, Dave.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. You see this sometimes in like 80s and 90s TV shows where people have got these names that just are old person names now. Like Roz or
Arthur
or
Gerald.
Joey.
I have not met a kid named Gerald in a very long time.
What about Sheldon?
No.
Who's naming their kid Sheldon?
Well, people that are fans of that fucking dog shit show.
But
Big Bang.
I know, but they wouldn't name it after the nerdy one, would they? Do you see what I mean? That like,
yeah, they would.
I feel like they've accidentally destroyed. If you're writing like a sitcom with like a nerdy character, you kind of have to be careful not to ruin people's lives with that name.
He's the most popular character, and there are some diehard fans of that piece of shit. It's true.
But people.
Look,
He's not real.
People named
Can't
their
be angry.
kids
He
after
can't hurt
Ayn
you,
Rand.
period. He's just on the television
He's a
screen.
cunt. People named their kids after Ayn Rand, and she was bonkers. So you know,
Yeah, but she's not awful like Andrew
She
Tate
is
or whatever.
awful.
I mean,
She is
obviously, but people culturally, people aren't aware. No one's read enough of her. No one understands what Ayn Rand's fucking message is. Also, it's Anne. Like
it's
people are
Ayn.
well, no, but people pronounce it Anne, don't they?
It's Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand. So
Ayn
it's
Rand.
kind of no one.
Well,
no one
let me
thinks
tell
of
you,
her.
Ayn Rand is enough for me. I don't want
no one would say,
Try
what,
Rand.
after Ayn Rand?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, then
They
again,
do.
no one's saying,
you're
you've named your
crazy.
son Andrew
All right.
after Andrew Tate.
You need to
Jesus.
watch. You need to watch. All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace by Adam Curtis. Documentary about the influence that Ayn Rand had. I don't want to get political here, but the influence that her writing
I've
had.
watched a lot of Adam Curtis stuff, and I
watch
always
that.
feel like it's a little bit bollocks. It's kind of.
You're an idiot.
I kind of can't. Some of the connections that he makes are so mental, though. In his
It's interesting.
documentaries.
It's like a philosophical essay.
Yeah,
it's
it's
intriguing.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is a
the
thought
head of the
piece.
Fed Bank in the US was a massive fan of Ayn Rand. That is important to know. That is well
Right,
worth
yeah,
knowing. If he
yeah.
was a brony and all of a sudden bronies were everywhere, you'd think, what's going on here? It matters. The influences on these people and the groups they belong to matter.
Sorry, where have the bronies gone? That's
Well,
such,
yeah, with the
such an
bronies.
interesting point. Where
Where
are
are
they?
the bronies? This is a very good
where
point.
did they
have
disappear?
hidden. It's the same thing that happened with that viral video about NFTs that came out. That killed NFTs. Like everyone was like, "Have you seen this viral video? Was it line goes up or whatever?"
Yeah.
Where everyone saw that, and every NFT person out there suddenly just was like, "Oh, they changed their ideas from NFTs to AI." It's like AI is the new thing. Do you know what I mean anyone you asked about NFTs, you're now asking about AI? It's totally they've scuttled away back into the corners, you know.
So you
of
think the
of the
brony generation evolved into the NFT bro salesman, blue tick salesman? Is that the pipeline?
It's the natural
No,
progression.
no, not
pipeline.
in any way is that the case.
Is that
No,
the
but I think-
pipeline?
I think they realised that this was not a fight they could win. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
It was
they
too
stopped making the show,
unsafe.
didn't they? The show.
I don't know. That might just be the answer.
I think they just stopped making the show. I mean,
I think no. They woke up one morning and realised they were in the fucking Nazi death cop or whatever with the skulls on their helmet, and they were like, "Oh shit, we're the bad guys. Look at what I'm doing."
I don't know. I think they're just older now. I think that it was a cohort of people that fell in love with that show that were probably paedophiles and have now gone on to other things.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Oh
they
my
realised one morning that they didn't want to. They weren't, but that's what everyone thought they were.
Would Sips push back on that? Or would
No.
Sips go, okay, Sips will go along. I'm trying to figure out my role here.
What would Sips-
Ciaran makes an inflammatory stand-out statement. Am I meant to... I guess I'm sitting with a thumbs up right now.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just chill. Just chill, Harry. That's an order.
Oh God, no!
You're like if we were on the front lines here and bullets are whizzing overhead and you're just lying down and we're just looking at each other like, what? It happens all the time, mate. And you're like, they're shooting at us, sir. Like, yeah, that fucking happens
Can we
every day.
shoot back, please?
Period
I
makes
think,
ridiculous claims every podcast.
As heels of the internet, it's quite interesting though, because it does feel like we have evolved. They fill the same role, right? You know, it's kind of a collective group that everyone on the internet kind of just hates or can easily shit talk. You can always point and laugh. And if it isn't, I think you're right. AI bros are the next kind of heel, but who's the next heel? Like who?
Me.
Old men on the internet.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, seriously, my generation are going to really be despised, if we're not already, because we're going to start telling people that the only reason the internet is good is because we did the hard work in the early days. And people are going to be like, fuck off, it's better now than it ever was. And be like, oh, you don't remember the back of the days when something awful, blah, blah, blah. And we'll make all these claims.
Yeah.
And people will tell us to shut the fuck up. And old people are on TikTok now. My mum is on TikTok fucking 24/7, commenting on shit. It's terrifying.
Mum's
What
commenting
the
on
heck?
TikTok is an interesting. I've heard about this a lot. It's an interesting discovery. My girlfriend's mum, my partner's mum, actually runs a TikTok account where she posts fake replies. She just lies on TikTok. And I was like, why are
do you
you
mean?
doing this? And she was like, it's fun. I like to just lie to people on the internet. I was
God.
What the fuck?
Old people just don't belong
like, crazy.
at all. They
It's
just don't
actually
know where they're
crazy.
meant to be.
Oh,
I think they're
my
lost.
God.
What they're meant to be doing is going to flower shows and drinking tea, and instead now they're on the internet.
Watching Crufts and Chelsea Flower Show.
Yeah,
and...
just relax.
Yeah.
But they don't. They're like, no, I have to be part of this online movement. It's like, no, please don't. It's just like, I feel too old for it. You are definitely too old for it. Stop. Put the phone down and chill.
They just don't understand any of it either. Like,
No.
like they don't understand like what the idea of a dick pic is. Do you know what I mean? Like they're so clueless.
Yeah, all the
about
dick pics
all
my mum
aspects
sends
of
me are
it.
rubbish.
but you just like they just don't they can't even fathom these things, you know, to the point
hold
where
on, I've got my hand in the air. This is something we've asked you about. Me and Sips. This is the point, Harry, where Sips and I are like, we still don't really understand it. We don't really get the whole dick pic thing.
Yeah.
So
it's
Lewis
interesting,
is
isn't
talking
it?
now about me and Sips.
you understand what it is.
Yes, but
and
I
we
still
are
don't understand
equally
why no one would
boggled
do
about it. I know, but I think
but Piran,
there's
you're
a
a
different
man. You
level
understand.
of misunderstanding of the even older generation, right? Like, imagine you don't understand it, knowing everything you know about how this works. You know, you have a deep-seated knowledge of how the internet works and what's on it and what's out there. Imagine what this is like for people who come from a different generation. They're clueless about so many aspects of it, and it leads them down these sort of to have these weird opinions about it that just don't gel with anything we do, which is why impressive that Adam Curtis has such staying power. He's made documentaries for about 20 years. I think I have watched them all, and I love them. But they are like, they just feel like so psychedelic. Do you know what I mean?
I like that.
Because they're all like, he connects like Kennedy with fucking Bitcoin or something. Do you know what I mean? He'll have some like, there'll be everything will be interrelated.
Conspiracy theory based. It's not like, it doesn't feel like he's spinning you this, I don't know, complete fairy tale. No, it's quite great. It is psychedelic, but still relatively.
It's great if you haven't watched any. But he speaks with such authority, and it just feels like when I watch it, sometimes it feels like it's either exaggerated or like kind of
hyperbolic
like assumptions that these assumptions are made that these things are connected. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's interesting that this thing happened and this thing interesting happened. Is that a coincidence? I'm always like, probably, but he's always like, this is caused it, you know, or this is on purpose, or this is related. And I'm kind of like, you know, it is fascinating that he digs through all this archival footage and finds these connections.
But that's such a human trait, though, to want to make things connected and not just accept the randomness of everything, right? Like, that's so core to us that I think that's why it speaks to people.
Well, of course, because it's reassuring to think that everything is connected, not just random garbage that's happened in a random order. You know, it's kind of, we want to have that like when this is why conspiracy theories happen so often. It's because we want to believe that there's a higher pattern when something awful happens. You know, we want to think that it was a rational thing rather than just the bad just chance or, you know, idiots or crazy people. I do
find it entertaining that it feels like a time where conspiracy theories are rife on the internet and, you know, incorrect facts are everywhere. But I feel like it's the elder generation who are warning us constantly. Don't be careful what you read on the internet, son. Just completely fucking hook, line, and sinker on it. Just I cannot.
Yeah, it is ironic that they are both.
It's such brain rot for me. Just to think about it.
The weakest to it, and the most proliferate the warnings. You know.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Oh my god. So yeah, you went to.
So my flight. Right. Here's my flight. I went to TI.
We've all been away.
We've all been away.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to Seattle for 2 weeks. Last couple of weeks of October, I flew out there for the International, which is like a big annual Dota tournament. Spoken about it in episodes of the past. I went again with my 10th TI, which is insane. Went out there. Flight out there was amazing. Right? Half empty. As I'm sitting down.
I saw you saying this in your dressing gown.
There was literally half the plane. So I'm sitting down. There's no one next to me. There's a lady in front of me, 2 empty rows in front of her, another dude. To my right, a dude, and then like 10 empty rows. The stewardess comes around. Before the plane's taken off, she says, "We're fully boarded now. So once we take off, just lie down wherever you like. You've all got a row to yourself."
That is the dream.
That is the dream. And I was like, thank God. And then because they sort of serve sections of the plane, like there'll be a couple of stewardesses and all the food is for the back of the plane. And then the middle of the plane has another bunch of stewards and stewardesses and they've got their bit of food.
So what, she just brought you 4 meals and a bottle of champagne?
She brought me, she said, can I get you a drink? I said, I'll have a glass of white wine, please. And she was like, filled it up. It was like a half a pint of white wine. I had one of them, waited a couple of hours, had another one, and slept for like 5 hours on the flight. It was amazing.
So my question is, I've tried this sort of thing before, and the seats they don't like line up so it can be comfortable to lie down across.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
Bumps.
This was a I don't know what piece of equipment it was, but this was an airline operated by Delta. The seats were flush, and you could completely flush. The seatbelt things didn't poke up to you, none of that. And you could flip up the dividers, and it was literally like, and it was 4. It wasn't a 3, it was a 4.
Yeah, 4.
And I could completely lie down, and like on my back, I could just lie on my back, completely extended, and it was that wide, and it was completely flat. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Did you have like a duvet or anything?
Yeah, I had a little blanket.
I hate those little
and a couple of pillows. The blanket is so wank, isn't it?
It's so wank.
Skinny blankets.
It made me think of the kind of shit they give you in hospital. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you need a blanket? And it's like a tissue.
What do they do with those blankets? Do they take them and wash? Like, do you just get new ones every time?
Yeah, they launder them.
I think they wash
launder them.
I think that's why they can't. They can't give 2 fluffy big plush ones, or else they'd end up.
Yeah, they get nicked.
The laundry would be just jammed full.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how small can we make this blanket while also, keeping it cleanable.
And then they just stick it in a plastic bag, and it's like it never happened. I mean, there's just some business somewhere entirely operates on washing the shit that comes off planes. I guarantee that's their whole fucking thing.
Of course.
Virgin and all the other airlines
and
turn
hotels.
Up. Yeah,
that's
all
the
their
classic
stuff.
thing.
But
I always. Do you have like your plane costume? Do you have like a specific set of shoes?
I just
and
wear
clothes that you wear.
Very comfortable trousers. So normally not like tight jeans. I wear like a baggy pair. I've got a pair of corduroys that are very, very comfy. And a hoodie. But a hoodie preferably with a hood that I can put all the way up that'll cover my face.
Yeah, that's the strat.
Yeah. So,
people always forget it's cold on planes. Like, it's cold as fuck. Fucking cold as shit.
Yeah.
Like, you need to stay warm.
I think it's because the Americans who like to I get to England, I set my thermostat to 18. That's like a standard thing. It's like, and if they don't have aircon in the hotel that they can set to 18 and sleep in the cold, freezing fucking cold, then they go crazy. Apparently,
they're very delicate when it comes to temperature. The Americans.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but if there's anyone complaining about AC at anywhere, it'll be the Americans. There's no AC. So yes, that's how most of the world lives.
We will be commenting on the temperature, but we won't be complaining about it.
Yeah, we'll just roll. You're a bit hot, innit? But we don't have AC. Most places don't have AC. I'm sorry, America.
So yeah, I think that's why it's so fucking cold. But yeah, I've got my like plane gear set up like pretty much sorted now, and it makes the whole thing a lot more.
Yeah, what are you rolling with?
It's like a big fluffy hoodie, like you said, big fluffy pants, comfy pants, like trainers, and then I have like usually some sort of extra blanket or like cushion in my bag that I bring in with me just to like kind of, so there's a way you can prop yourself up or like support yourself against a window or I've done enough of the trips where I've like fallen asleep with my head like against a panel, like
you wake up and you can't
vibrating.
move your arm for like 2 days or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst.
Where you're just fully locked. And and like the I mean, they always give you. I don't know if they give you this in. I haven't done a. Yeah, they always give you like a little pack with the toothpaste and a toothbrush in there and stuff like that. So you don't need to bring those yourself. But it's nice to have like snacks as well, like chewy sweets and some crisps. Because I don't know about you guys, but my fucking head feels like it's going to explode during like takeoff and landing. I get like such pressure.
Yeah. Can you not do the thing where you pinch your nose and blow?
Well, sometimes when I do that, that's called a Valsalva maneuver.
No, it's not.
Isn't it?
No, I think the Valsalva maneuver is more violent.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Shove both your fingers up your nose and just pray.
No, I mean that's the one that I do when I have a arrhythmia in my heart is the Valsalva maneuver, and that's more compression of the chest.
Oh, really?
I think it's more. This one is just a gentle blowing down your nose. That's not.
Well, whenever I do that, sometimes it completely fucking feels like something in my head is going to explode. So no, right. I try not to do that.
It feels like I agree, Liz. It's quite a violent maneuver. I don't know how people just do that casually. To me, it feels like a blood vessel is going to pop in my eyes.
I can do it gently. I do it all the time, but every time. I used to be fine when I was younger, but now if I try and do it, it feels like I'm fucking about to like rip through a fucking sinus or something. It's terrifying.
You should
I have to
don't do it
be
too
gentle
hard.
with myself. Yeah. Well, I go ham. I go hard.
He's not
reflex.
a fucking pussy, Pyrian. Come on.
All right, well,
Jesus.
calm down. Jeez.
So you got to America. You got to Seattle.
How was
you've
Seattle?
been
Do you enjoy being in
before,
Seattle
right?
as a
No, it was
city?
shit.
I've never been. Is it a shit?
It was,
Why is it
I
shit?
used to love it. I've not seen a city go downhill as hard as Seattle has.
Really?
Yeah, and in every way.
That's not nice.
It's the homeless problem there is out of control. Out of control. We went down. There's a part of the town where there's like lots of shops and stuff like that. 2nd Avenue for any Seattleites that know. Down there, past like Pike, past Pike Place, down towards the other end. Is it Pine? Anyway, around there's a McDonald's, colloquially known as McStabbies, because
Nice.
all the homeless people, that's like the epicenter. I saw
Okay.
people shooting up in broad daylight in doorways, people smoking crack, homeless people on every corner. All the shops around there have like armed security guards, volunteer force. There's a group called something like Oak and Iron, and they're like a volunteer security force with body vests, and they act like police and go
That's
around.
the
and
most
fucking-
American thing ever.
Very American. And it's like a fucking war zone. It's crazy compared to what it used to be like. It used to be a chill kind of vaguely hippie-ish in some aspects, and now it's just tech bros and homeless people. And the prices in Seattle, I've never been anywhere more expensive in my life. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. £10
How
a
much?
pint, easy. £10 a pint.
Jeez.
Everywhere. And the food here's so we were given this bothered me.
You working for Valve, by the way.
Yes, I know. I don't
the-
live there.
One of
And-
the richest companies
Right,
in
but
the
they're
world.
not the problem. The problem is the way Amazon, if you talk to anyone in Seattle, they fucking hate Amazon because of what they did to Seattle. You can go up and read about it. I'm not going to take the time. I'm not going to expend the labor to explain it to you. Do it on your own time, all right? There is a lot to read about what Amazon has done to Seattle and how it's fucked the entire city up. So here is some of my orders that I placed. We were given an Uber Eats per diem that PGL would pay for us to eat because it was cheaper than having catering, hotel catering.
PGL are the
is
company
incredible.
running the event, right?
Yeah, so sorry.
I see. So
PGL
you're
are
not
running it.
technically paid by Valve.
Right, so
Right.
here's an example. This is an order that I placed. A Chinese restaurant called Din Tai Fung. Any Seattleites will probably know it. This was what my order was. 1 chicken fried rice, 1 sautéed string beans with garlic. How much do you think that cost?
12
Well,
quid?
Uber Eats.
Plus delivery, 12 quid? I don't know.
How about $60?
What?
How about $60? How about this place? This is Hong Kong Bistro. This is a Chinese restaurant that I ordered from. And my order was 1 roasted pork, which is just like some chunks of roasted pork, not a huge amount, chow mein, and some stir-fried broccoli. $80. To you?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
That is eye-watering. I actually don't... That's insane.
It is
How is
insane.
that cheaper than the fucking
Because
hotel
catering
restaurant?
is unbelievable. We got some idea of how much it is. Let's say you go to a hotel, you're there for an event, or you're staying over or whatever. It's like a conference or something. And they have one of those big urns of coffee. You know those ones?
Yeah.
So the price of one of those is about $800 at this hotel.
What are you talking about?
That's the price. That is how much it costs. Every time they
Does
fill
the
it
coffee
up,
cure
$800.
cancer? Like, what is going on?
It's just the prices.
Oh, I see. It's
prices
the
are wild.
hotel are charging that because they know they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Right.
$800.
I see.
So if you give people $80 a day to buy whatever the fuck they want and just go, that's it, we're out. You've got $80, make it work. Then they'll do it, and you'll top up the over that with your own money.
When you were going out there, did you think, wow, $80 a day, I'm going to
Yeah.
be eating like a king, it's going to
Yeah.
be steaks every night.
Literally,
Can
I was
barely
like,
afford some chow
$80 a
mein.
day. Like, I don't spend 80 quid a fucking week on food for me, and I've got $80 a day, no problem. And yeah, it was like 1 good meal or 2 very small meals. So I mean, to be fair, and I'm sure someone will be thinking this, there is the delivery cost and there's the markup from Uber Eats. So okay, let's go out to a restaurant and eat there instead. Similar kind of prices. It's all expensive. Cup of coffee, $9 for a cup of coffee. It's just insane. So yeah, Seattle is just like that.
Is this what's happened? I feel like we're getting the same sort of thing about San Francisco and places like this that are trying to be very liberal, supportive cities to help homeless people, and so they become like actually a beacon or a magnet to them. And I heard that people were busing. You know, some cities were like literally getting buses to put their homeless people and send them to San Francisco and Seattle. I don't know how much of that is like just scary.
Well, there are a
and all
lot
this
of
stuff.
them on the West Coast. A lot of homeless people West Coast. But
I'm surprised because Seattle's such a
Pennsylvania's
shit
got a
weather
lot.
city.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean,
that was
as well?
my thing. I was like, if you're going to go somewhere, I understand California,
I mean,
but Seattle?
it could just be, the West and East Coast are the most densely populated bits of America, right? And those are the biggest cities in those areas. So it's much like, Bristol gets a lot of homeless population from the southwest of England. They all come up to Bristol because it's the first major city. Is it kind of the same thing that just when you have a catchment area with 5 million people, they...
Well, here's the thing. I live in London. I go out in London a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen homelessness like this in London.
Yeah.
Like, ever. And you would think that you would just be hoovering up all the homeless people.
If you've not seen it, we must sound awful, but they are fucking crazy as fuck.
Yeah, a lot of very, very mentally ill people.
It's super intimidating. Like, it is...
Yeah.
It's really... You don't feel safe. Like,
they are everywhere. And no one's
the homeless
helping
people
them.
in America are not the same. They're basically the people that we have in mental institutions here.
Yes.
They're just on the streets instead.
Yeah. There's literally, they have just been abandoned. The system is just like, nope, we have nothing that possibly we could do to help you. It's impossible. Despite the fact that most other countries that have this kind of money, this would never happen. It's terrible. And the drug problem in America is awful.
It's pretty radicalizing seeing it, to be honest. It makes you be like, how has society failed to not fix this?
Yeah. And to also have created this era where apparently people just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to say we got to do something about the homeless problem, you're seen as some hopeless liberal. Like, you're not seen as just a human being. It's like, this wishy-washy, bleeding heart shit. It's like, you haven't seen these people.
These are people. Stop. Like, I think homeless people do get dehumanized a lot. Now, having said that, I was walking to work very early on Wednesday to do some first aid training, and I walked past someone smoking crack in Queen Square.
Yeah, Jesus.
With a blowtorch out, middle of Queen Square, loud and proud. And I was like, I have never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Queen Square is the nicest address as well.
It's lovely,
in central Bristol.
And he was having a great time smoking crack in it.
He was having a great time, I'm sure.
It's like, imagine someone was sat on the lawn of Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. It's Bristol's equiv. It's Bristol's equiv. Come on.
That's Bristol's equivalent.
Queen Square is not Buckingham Palace. Just for any travellers out there who are wondering, don't go to Queen Square.
No, it's like Soho Square. It's like the equivalent of Soho Square.
I think it's nicer than that, in all honesty. It is very nice.
We don't have a silly little hut in the middle, though. I like Soho Square's silly little hut.
Yeah, they do that with me. But,
all right, fine.
It's like, I think this is one of those things, a lot of the policies that people are bringing in to try to help are actually making things worse. And one of them is we'll decriminalize drugs. That'll solve the problem. Just means that you do have people sitting around smoking crack and the police are just like, nothing we can do about it. It's not a good thing. Like, what that leads to is that those areas just get poorer and shitter and less money flows there because nobody wants to open a business there. Nobody wants to live there. You end up with these areas that are just fucking DMZs. Like, it's just nobody goes there apart from homeless people and drug addicts. How is that going to help their situation?
Coming back, did it make you appreciate the things that England and the UK does at least a little bit?
Yes. I mean, we have a lot of problems. And, when you see the problems in the States, you think this is not the way it's meant to be. Here's another example of something that blew my mind. The final late game show was in this theater. So we did like a live stage show, me and Jenkins, who was amazing. And it was like a 250, 300 person sort of theater. Really nice theater called the Children's Theatre. Okay. And when we went there to rehearse, there was a play on for the kids. There's kids everywhere. I was like, this is a very nice sort of wholesome place. There is a sign on the entrance that says weapons-free zone. In other words, please don't bring your guns to the Children's Theatre. Now, you need a sign to tell people not to bring guns to the Children's Theatre. That's a problem. That is a fucking problem. What are you doing?
That's a huge red flag. Do you know what I mean?
Something might be awry when people are like, Children's Theatre, let me get my Magnum. Just chill. You don't need a fucking gun in the Children's Theatre. What's happening?
Well, no. Again, you're wrong. You need to protect the children.
Yeah, protect those children.
It's only me that can protect the children. Oh, no. I'm
mentally ill. Stop a bad guy with a gun as a good guy with a gun.
Exactly. If a crazy guy with a gun gets in there, who's going to stop him if there's no guns allowed?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's why all those rampaging gunmen They never get away with it, do they? Because
They
there's always
never get
people
away
with
with it.
guns around.
There's always someone with a gun.
Yeah,
That
that
so
guy
right.
in Maine that killed 18 people the other day, luckily, all the citizens that had all those guns shot that man to death, and he didn't kill 18 people. Fuck off. Gibberish.
So you had a nice time in Seattle, did you? I've been watching Frasier,
That was
weirdly.
not what I said at all.
I've been
But
watching.
okay.
There's a new series of Frasier,
Go on.
which is not like the original classic. When I used to go to school, Frasier was on Channel 4 at like 7:30 till 8 in the morning or whatever, and I had to get my bus at like 8:05. And I would always be watching Frasier at like 7:30 till 8. And it always hooked you in, right? Because it was such a interesting show. It's such a good show. And I would always have to run for my bus, I remember, because I was watching the end of this episode of Frasier. Or my dad would cut me off. He'd be like, you better go now. You're turning it off. And
So you
I
never
sort of
heard, I will live in them as scrambled eggs. You never
I
heard
never
that
saw
bit?
the last
Oh,
5
my
minutes
God.
of the episode. So I never quite got the
You
punchline
never
or
got the
whatever,
payoff.
or
Oh
the
my God.
resolution.
You've
Yeah,
been
I just saw him
blue-balled
in all
on
these
Frasier all this time.
awkward situations. And so yeah, they've done a new series. It's obviously completely different, but I'm watching back the old ones.
Is
and
it any good?
yeah,
then?
Seattle is. You only really, it's like Friends, right? You only
Yeah,
really see
yeah,
the
yeah.
apartment, the cafe,
Yeah.
the work, a couple of their workplaces,
Mhm.
and that's it. You know, they got their 3 sets where the entire thing takes place. Sometimes they'll go to a restaurant and they'll have a meal with someone, and something embarrassing will happen or whatever.
Right. But I mean, we
um,
only see the highfalutin end of Seattle. I
Yeah,
mean, look,
well,
there
but of
is a lot to
course.
like about Seattle, but it genuinely felt unsafe compared to when I used to go there. And
Well, it certainly does in those central areas like Tenderloin in San Francisco. You know, that is like, you know, if you had to put a pin on the word Seattle on the map and you actually go to where that pin is, you know, there's going to be 15 homeless people
and
piled
a giant
up there.
pin, apparently. So, yeah.
Is it also
Yeah.
because as Brits we're more inclined to walk around the cities when we visit, and a lot of Americans just won't even hop out their car?
That's a
It's-
very good point, Harry.
I think
that is.
I love walking around cities when I go to visit, but the American cities just are not designed to walk around them.
No, it don't feel good.
Oh.
New
This
York,
is
you
very
can still
true.
walk around New York.
You can still walk around New
Um,
York, yeah.
But San Francisco, I think I talked about this when we came back from it. We decided to take a little walk. It was about 2.5 miles.
Mhm.
Forgot that that San Francisco was almost entirely uphill. Doesn't even if you're going downhill, you're essentially going uphill. That's how uphill San Francisco is. We were exhausted,
Yeah.
but we only saw the nice parts of San Francisco. Like somehow we managed to avoid the fucking appalling, area
Because
where
that's what
you
often
die.
happens. Yeah, like we did that in Vancouver. I remember we were so let's go for a walk, and then suddenly like there's literally needles in the road.
That's the
like,
bad
and there's,
bit. Yeah,
there's
I
this
know the
queue
bit.
of crazy people, and and you're like, oh no, and you're like holding onto your phone, and then again you walk out into a beautiful high rise
Right.
on the next block, and you're like, well, what happened? And it's because of the grid system, and I guess maybe other cities do a better job of hiding their homeless population.
I think that's what's
And
the
you
most.
can't.
You're right. That is one of the most jarring bits about American cities and their kind of homeless populations is they're just next to each other. They don't, I feel like in UK cities you get a bit of a blend or something that okay, maybe we're going to a bit of a rougher area now, and it's like no, in America it literally is one block is the most decadent street
Right.
in the world, and the next is Skid Row.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, so you had a good time, did you?
So
Um,
yeah, I mean, I do still like Seattle. It does have some. I mean, so Shane, Harry knows Shane.
Irish
Shane.
Yes,
Yeah.
lovely bald Shane.
Exactly, my
Bald
son
brother.
Shane. Now
Bald brother.
probably one of the most powerful people in Dota esports.
That's good.
Shut up.
He's a nice guy.
I'm serious. He is like Mr. Dota at ESL. Runs, as far as I can tell, runs Dota for ESL. Sets it all up. He's like the head honcho of Dota. And now, 8 years ago, Shane was eating lamb chops and drinking tea in his parents' garage, and was basically a very small streamer and good friend of mine, occasionally worked esports events, and then got a job at ESL and has gone that high. Incredibly competent guy.
Well, he's so nice.
Yeah, but he's
right?
also really, really good.
Very
which is
passionate
like
as well. Very passionate.
very
man.
passionate. But yeah, top lad. So
Well, he's got a great voice, right? He's very friendly. He's because he's Irish, isn't he? As well,
he is.
right?
He's very
So-
Irish. Yeah,
that everyone loves the Irish accent, especially the Americans. They can't get enough of it.
it's true.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
But
kryptonite.
he's
it
just
really
very
is.
good. Yeah, he's just
It
very
is.
good.
It's like their weakness.
But so
They go
I went
weak in
out
the
for a
knees.
coffee with him, and he was telling me that he'd got an Uber a couple of days prior, And it was like he was coming back from somewhere. It was like an evening Uber, and he gets chatting to the driver, and the driver is a Boeing engineer.
Okay. Wait, okay. Well,
Sure.
What?
And this guy works at Boeing. Boeing is a huge employer in Seattle. So this guy works at Boeing making airplanes, and also in the evening drives an Uber to help make ends meet. And Shane was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah, look, quite a few of us do it. It's pretty hard times. You know, sometimes just help make ends meet and everything." So this guy supplements his income at Boeing, being
America,
an Uber
you
driver.
should be ashamed.
But me and Shane were also thinking,
America, if you're listening,
right, this guy's going to be tired. Do you want to fly in a plane designed by an engineer who also has to double as an Uber driver? What if he's tired one day and he's like, "We don't need wings on these ones anymore," and they're like, "You're the head engineer, whatever you say goes." So suddenly you're flying in a giant tube. That's the future.
Interestingly, when I was in TwitchCon Paris, a friend, I met this person, was chatting to them, and they work for Airbus or whatever the fucking, I think it's the French equivalent of Boeing, right? The big, huge European plane manufacturer. And in his spare time, he has like a collection of 3D printers that print stuff in metal and stuff like this.
Wow.
Like,
Oh my God.
he's got this like whole. He was such an interesting man. Oh my God. And obviously really, really smart. And I was just
Such
like,
a
this
contrast.
guy's so cool.
Wait, you can 3D print with metal?
Yeah, apparently you can make these crazy things. And he was like saying how it was his hobby, but then he was going to start making them use it in the factories as well, like take it through into their business. Like,
Wow.
Because I was like, I guess you can make these incredible 3D printers. You've seen some of the crazy stuff they print, right? Because you can basically build all the internal structure out of like these these really complicated shapes that are really hard to forge, I guess, out of metal. So yeah, you can build like these incredible pieces. Apparently it's the future, 3D printing in metal.
All I've seen really is miniatures. I haven't seen anything interesting, really cool.
Oh, no, but you know they make these like weird 3D puzzles and stuff, right?
Yeah.
No, I
Puzzles,
don't.
you know,
I
the
don't
weird
know
stuff they
anything
can
about
3D
it.
print.
I've really
You
not
can
looked
print
into
these
it.
because you can, obviously it's all printed layer by layer. You can make
Like
these
slices.
incredibly elaborate internal structures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you see someone do a really complicated like joint in joinery, you know, some Japanese table where they've got like they carve wood into this weird fucking jigsaw puzzle piece shape and stick it in the corner. Imagine that, but with metal, you know, and things like this. It kind of gives you such an ability to do new or create smaller.
What would you 3D
pieces.
print if you could?
Oh my God.
It'll definitely work, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, do we have a scale limit?
No.
Well,
you can
here's
just
the
3D
thing,
print
right?
whatever you want.
I feel like if you asked me that as a what is going to be done.
No, I'm asking you what you want.
I think.
Oh God.
Right.
Because I'm just saying this. I'm sure it's wonderful technology, but we've been told everything's going to be 3D printed, and it's not. So all I'm saying is, you can have something 3D printed right now. What is it? Or is it that it's such a new technology that the true applications for it have not yet been discovered? I could believe that. But all I'm saying is, you can have something 3D printed. What do you want?
Yeah. It brings up the whole.
It's too. The thing is, it's like saying you want something crafted. Like it can do anything. Like it's too open
Right.
a format, right?
But what is it that you would need 3D printed that you would not be able to get otherwise? That's all I'm saying. Is it? I'm sure.
I guess is that not the factor that it's easy? It's just easier to make it. It's not that it can really do. It can do slightly more complicated stuff, but actually, it's the ease of manufacturing. Like we can manufacture this thing now in a week instead of a year.
Right. So really, it doesn't affect me. This is exciting for people who make things. Is it exciting for people who buy things?
It's as exciting as a new superconductor chip coming out, right? Like it tangibly for us, it doesn't make a huge difference. What it does is it just accelerates society further forward,
they can make
faster.
shit much easier and better.
Yeah.
That's great. Will the prices
Maybe.
then be lower?
No.
Maybe
It's still going to be
not.
Seattle
They
prices.
won't.
It's still going to be
Yeah,
Seattle
it's
prices
gonna be
very
more.
soon. Period.
Yeah.
Start
so
saving.
essentially, this is going to be a great thing for a handful of people, and for the rest of us, you can make a miniature.
I wonder about this because, like, you know how on photocopiers and printers, the manufacturers of them have to build software that means you can't print currency, right? And so it's like it recognizes if you put like a £10 note in Photoshop or in
there's something in the note that the photocopier picks up.
I think it's both.
It doesn't recognize the money. I think there's a symbol on the money.
It does.
That sends a signal to the printer. If I remember
it does,
rightly.
No, Adobe and all these people have relate this. They're legally required to put in money recognition.
Wait. I've never tried this list. What happens if you like paste it in bit by bit and then you slowly build, like, can you trick it? Like, instead of just the whole image, can I just do, like, 10 pixels
Barry, can we
at
not
a time?
get the FBI round?
The FBI
We
are
can
going to
print
come
money,
here.
Lewis. Why did you not tell me this?
Photocopying money. There, I've Googled it.
Yeah, there's this whole thing that you can't do, right?
The secret codes of British banknotes.
Yeah, you can't do
There
it.
you
It's
go.
not. It's impossible. Anyway, are 3D printer manufacturers gonna have to build in anti-gun recognition? Do you know what I mean? So, like, if you try and print a gun, they'll be like, Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you already can print
Like-
guns, right? That is just a thing that is out there.
Well,
Yeah, you can.
yeah,
It's
you
illegal,
can,
but
or
you can.
components. But apparently, one of the parts of it again has to be made of metal, and so therefore,
Right.
like the firing pin or whatever.
Do you have any
Another
notes
bits and
on
bobs.
you? I'm looking at a £20 note now. If you look on the left-hand side of if any of you listening at home, if you have a note, most people don't have cash. I happen to have some. On the left-hand side, it says £20, top left corner. Then it says London for the governor and company of the Bank of England. Then it says Sarah John, chief cashier. Then there's a picture of her Madge. And then there's a weird bunch of dots in a specific constellation. That is what they recognize. And apparently a
Really?
lot of notes will have that.
Oh,
and
right.
that's
It's
what
a
the photocopy is.
it's
That's
a
what I'm saying.
constellation.
Yeah, is that essentially I don't think the photocopier is clever enough to look at it because it's a very, very stupid machine, a photocopier.
Is that suddenly an amazing way of hiding images from AI? Do we, find out what these patterns are that AI's learned not to look at?
You could, if you put this, I think if you put this constellation of dots on an image and put that in and asked it to photocopy it, I wonder if you could
I
trick
wonder
it
if it would
into
say
thinking
no.
it was money.
I
Here we go.
think so.
It says so in an article. At first, he drew the pattern in isolation on a blank piece of paper, printed it, and tried to photocopy it. When it was a black and white pattern, the photocopier reproduced it, but when you tried coloring in the circles, it churns out the anti-counterfeiting message. So this
No
guy did this.
way.
Yeah, so it just recognizes it and auto prints a piece of paper that says, oh, that's against the law and I'm not allowed to do it. I'd get into just as much trouble as you if I was to photocopy that.
I love the idea. That, that's the bit. We've got to stop people at that stage, not when they go into, Tesco's with a paper £20 note. Like, who's actually going to fall for it? Like, it's such like it feels like such an 80s worry. People are going to photocopy money. Like, and no one's going to fall for that. It doesn't work.
I guess if you put the paper
I think it was a
in,
big. I think it was a big scare though because the technology was advancing so quickly, and people thought, "Oh wow, this color photocopy. Could they just be photocopying money?" And I'm sure there was a spate of it at some
Does
point.
that give
and,
Does that give you hope that they're going to protect us from AI? That's the one thing they did. They put in some dots on the money so that we could photocopy
It is kind
it.
of weird that our printers aren't good enough to do money like real good. Do you know what
I
mean?
think it's not a surprise at all because the government would just say, no, you can't do that. It wouldn't be. I don't think it's lack of technology, Lewis. I think it's just that I'm
Apparently
sure
there are
it's possible.
I heard there was a bunch of North Koreans like doing really good counterfeits as well of money.
Really?
So apparently, like countries can do this. Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, if you that's the thing. The technology is there to reproduce it because if the Bank of England can make it, some other clever people can make it. I'm sure.
They call them super dollars. It's a very high counterfeit US $100 bill.
Wow.
And apparently, since 2011, they've been in worldwide circulation from the late 1980s.
Wow.
There was huge amounts of them done apparently. And North Korea is the possible source that people have talked about as where they've come from.
God, it's so nice
which
having
is
North Korea, isn't it? We can just kind of throw blame and that no one's ever gonna.
Yeah, what
It's true.
What are you
It
gonna
was
do?
the bloody North
It
Koreans.
was
isn't
the fucking North Koreans again.
Oh, I knew it. Bloody knew it. It wouldn't
That
surprise
actually
me,
is
though.
really interesting. Well, I guess they the $100 bills, a lot of them get into a briefcase. Or at least it used to be a lot more. Used to go a lot further. Nowadays, if you're on the per diem,
Yeah,
that's
Jesus.
not taking you very far.
Yeah, no one's thought about criminals when it comes to all this inflation. Previously, like you said, briefcase of money, and they're like, well, where's the rest of them? That's like, what's that?
Nowadays, you land at the Dota tournament, they give you a briefcase full of $100 bills. Last you till Wednesday.
Yeah, that's your food for today. Come back tomorrow.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll hear about the thing is, Pyrion always tells me and Harry and other people all these things at the pub, and he says, "Oh, I can't tell you this.
This is long
I can't
list.
tell you this on the
long list of
podcast."
secret period stories.
Yeah,
True.
Here's
here's a non-secret. I went around. I got a tour of the Valve offices. Everybody got a tour of the Valve offices.
Oh, cool.
Because they've moved. They've got new offices. Well, it was about 4 or 5 years or so. But I obviously we haven't been in Seattle for TI since 2017. So they moved a few years after the international left Seattle. They moved offices. And on the day after I landed, I went in to do some voiceover stuff for them for the tournament. There was like player profiles and stuff. It was my stupid voice doing the profiles. And while I was there for a few hours. I had lunch there and had a little tour and everything. Amazing offices. Absolutely amazing. They have something I've never seen it before. In a building like this. They're like on the upper floors. And towards one side, they've got this big open area with a staircase. And the staircase goes down 4 stories of these offices. Yeah. And it's just open above it. And you can get off at each of the floors. So it's like this huge staircase, this massive open plan area. You do not feel like you're in the top few floors of a building. You feel like you're in like a spaceship or something. And the views that they have from the windows where the canteen is are just unbelievable. You can see the whole of Puget Sound, Mount Rainier, the volcano over there.
Wow.
And I was just like blown away. It is so, and everything in the office was just gorgeous. Their monitors, oh my God, you've never seen monitors like this. It was amazing. I was like, I want those. I want those monitors. They're so big and so clear.
Did you steal anything? Did you heist anything?
I did not. I stole 2 things.
Nice.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, and no word of a lie. I stole 2 things from the Valve offices. I stole a pack of gum.
Nice.
And a chapstick. And
wait, is it a branded chapstick? A Valve branded?
It is a chapstick branded chapstick.
Oh,
it's
okay.
real. It's real. And so in the bathroom, some fool had left a basket out with all kinds of things in, like gum and chapstick. I stole a chapstick and I stole a pack of gum. Never saw that coming.
Yeah, it sounds like they're in the same offices that I went to when I was there with Sips, and it was nuts. Like, yeah, but this is what you expect from a I mean, the Valve have one of like the highest ratios of amount of money made per employee. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause that's one of these metrics that they use to measure these companies. Like the average Apple, they have like $500,000 per employee or whatever at Apple, but it's actually like 10 times that.
Yes,
like it's actually insane.
I mean, there's more people working in that office than in the previous one. Like they've definitely got more people.
Good. They need some people.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, I was surprised, honestly, how many people they had.
Did it feel like a lot of it was working on Counter-Strike? That's what I assume.
I cannot divulge anything about what I saw inside the offices other than they're very pretty and I stole some chapstick and some gum. But I'm not going to say anything else.
Apple is actually $2.5 million per employee.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Mind blowing.
That's considering they have all the stores as well.
How do the Yogs match up compared to that? How many millions per Harry? Harry and Dav.
20 quid?
No comment.
I think you're looking at it, Period. 20 quid?
20 quid.
Well, it's enough to afford a chicken chow mein, I think.
Yeah, one chicken chow mein in Seattle.
Yeah, and they have to split it though, because we can't afford chapsticks in the toilet.
Go on.
True.
Well, maybe that's a nice. It's not much effort for them to do that, is it? As well, and
they felt very nice, and their fridges are like you go to the lunch area, and it's like going to the sandwich and sushi part of a supermarket, but it's on like 8 floors. It's like that on every floor, and
God.
and
it's free.
Yeah, and you just go there, and there's just all the soft drinks and snacks you could want. There's like healthy salads, there's like sandwiches, there's sushi. You just, help yourself. And I was like, fuck me.
I mean,
how do you ever leave the office?
When you have megacorps like this and that office you just described, it just suddenly isn't surprising that Uber Eats, Chinese takeaway is $80. It now makes sense. Like,
oh my God, imagine how much they have to pay for it, given that it's like £800 per urn of coffee.
Yeah.
That must cost them an absolute bomb. Plus, they got the gym, they got laundry on site as well.
Everything. They've got creche there. They've got gyms. They got everything.
It's
It's very, very
and
cool.
yet, I know many people who've gone there, done it for a year, and been like, nope, I'm leaving.
I think it's extremely high pressure is the problem, because every single person you meet there is stupidly competent. And they have very high expectations that if you're working there, you're going to fucking deliver some serious, clever shit. And the ones that do are just like, holy shit, these guys are the smartest people I've ever met. It's insane. Everyone that I've ever met that works there is wildly clever and competent. And I just feel like such a fucking idiot. I honestly feel, compared to Valve employees and the offices and how smart they are, like one of the homeless people in Seattle.
Wow,
who's accidentally
he goes out of the
wandered
offices.
in.
He just sits down on the side of the street. I guess this is where I belong. This is it.
Yeah.
You're just a giant doofus. Yeah.
I can afford 2 more chow meins before I'm bankrupt.
Yeah, it's a different world. But yeah, I'm God. We could talk about it all day, because I remember it was
it's interesting.
Such an interesting place.
That's such a peek behind the curtain. That is a real.
It is, yeah. It's
we're really
weird.
privileged to have
very lucky
had that. Yeah.
I mean, to go to the offices to do some work for Valve gave me a real thrill, because it was like, wow, that is like, how many people can say they've done that? And it's just it's like I know people there because I've been going there for years and we've worked with them for years. So I see people that I know from there, and it's just so strange to think how powerful this company is and how rich it is, and then they're fucking employing me. It just seems ridiculous that they couldn't do better. Like, imposter syndrome.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
It's just like, if you want to feel imposter syndrome, go to visit Valve, because you will fucking feel like a mouse.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I mean, it's weird that we all have our own, like, because Sips has a friend at Valve, and I have a friend at Valve, and then we've got our Jingle Jam contact at Valve who we're quite friendly with, and then you've got your friends at Valve separately. So it's weird that we do have, like, because you think of them as so private and secret and difficult to kind of be in touch with, but actually we've all got.
Well, I mean, we all work in gaming in one way or another.
And I guess you were around in earlier days, right? And nowadays it's probably even harder to go and try and meet or find somebody at Valve.
Maybe. I don't know what their connections are like with other content creators and people like us. I really don't. I mean, we might think we're like got a good relationship, but actually, some guy that makes CSGO videos is like their favorite person ever, and they have a throne room for him there. It's impossible to know.
But at the same time, they are royalty in our eyes, though. Valve, right? And compare in the same way that Blizzard used to be for me when I played WoW.
True.
Getting invited to go around Blizzard was the dream. So I think it's.
Well, consider this. You guys make quite a lot of content involving, like, the Source engine, right? Like the TTT stuff and all the rest of that. And you guys have done gaming content for years, so they're gamers. Like, they love games and content about their games especially. So it's not really a surprise that Valve are going to reach out and you're going to make content there. I've made Dota content and worked in Dota for 11 years, so that's not really a surprise. All the other guys I know that work in Dota also have friends at Valve, so we just work on products that they have made. It's not really that surprising that we would have some contact with them. I think that's fair to say. Yeah,
and I think you're right about it being something which is not for everyone. Like, I think that their systems and the things the way they work is very unusual and different and unique. For sure. Holy crap, Barry! Thank you for joining us on this episode.
Not a problem at all. Thank you for having me. It's been a wonder.
Our first stand-in. You're an honoured man, and you should be, because we love you, Harry. So
thank you very much.
You fit in perfectly.
It's been a pleasure.
My God, you can come back, and of course, shout out to your brilliant podcast.
Of course,
that you do.
Actually, both of you have guested. You've both been on 0 degrees.
It's so fun.
We answer people's problems, much like Mailbag. It's good and silly time.
We don't sort anybody's problems in the Mailbag. We create more problems.
Yeah, we usually postulate, like, we question the reality and nature of
it's quite a raw experience.
A little bit like Adam Curtis,
just opening people's questions, isn't it? I don't know. It's fun though.
We just explore the weirdnesses of people out there.
Harry, when I come down next month,
yes, sir,
Can I meet Pepper?
You can meet my beautiful daughter. Yes,
Oh,
yes. I'll
I
bring her
can't
to the
wait.
office with a bit of jingle
I
jam.
can't wait. All right, I'm staying right near the offices, so as soon as she's in, just let me know.
Yes.
I'll come zooming over.
So there's this one Airbnb that they love. And Miriam booked it for the entire jingle jam, so no one else could.
Not true.
Could get
I
it.
booked it for 1 week.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The second
In fact,
week.
this
All
was.
right.
Do you remember that day when I was down last?
You were hanging out with Martin, yeah. Because Martin was like, "I'm booking that Airbnb," and you got on your phone.
I was talking
distracted
about it.
him somehow.
I was describing it to Martin and Sparkles, and they were like, "Really? Wow!" And I was describing how close it is and how nice it is. I showed them pictures, and then while they're
Martin
talking about
he stayed there a few times. Martin has.
Really?
Yeah. Because he was thinking about booking it. And
Right. Well, Sparkles
him
hadn't
to the
heard of it.
punch.
So while we're talking about it, I booked it on Airbnb.
That's so
For that
funny.
week. Yeah. So he changed what week he's coming down so he could stay in it as well.
Wow, so we don't get Martin and Period together because you're
No.
both going to stay in the same.
Same place. I'm getting it after him. So I was like, leave it in a good condition, please. He was tempted to leave little traps lying around for me.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I forgot.
Fuck's
Oh,
sake.
all right. Well, we'll see you next week, everyone. Hopefully, Sips will be less flooded then, and everything will be back to normal. But I might be going away on holiday, and so Barry might come back and cover for me.
Oh, you're
Well,
speaking
maybe we
to
need
Barry hasn't offered yet, but
maybe we need another member of.
let's mix it up. Let's mix
Yeah,
it up.
agree.
Do a mix up.
Is Lydia more like me, or is Ravs more like me?
Oh, Lydia. I think Lydia's certain. Oh, Ravs.
Let's get-
No, Ravs will be better. Yeah, go Ravs.
We
go
want to
Ravs.
get a lady. We've never had a lady.
Well, then
stand-in.
certainly get Lids. Wonderful
get Lids.
She can do a good Lewis. You've done the
It's just because
detective streams
with
together.
all these holidays, we were so paranoid about missing an episode. I was like, I can't break our streak.
We've got such a good streak going.
Right,
so
well-
that's the episode.
Lovely stuff.
Yes, we're done. Thank you,
We're
everybody.
done. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.